Let's be honest. You've probably felt that moment when you're talking to a woman and she's polite, even nice, but something's missing. There's no spark, no flirtation, no tension in her eyes when she looks at you. It's like she's treating you as safe, harmless, unthreatening, almost invisible. And deep down, that stings, doesn't it? Because you know you're not boring. You know there's something about you worth noticing. If only she could feel it. Here's the truth most men never hear. Attraction doesn't begin when she likes you. It begins when she feels something she can't quite explain. And that feeling, that instinct that pulls her in and makes her start flirting with you, is not about looks, money, or clever pickup lines. It's psychological. It's energy. It's what happens when your words, your eyes, and your silence send a message that says, "I'm not seeking your approval. I'm already enough." See, most men chase validation without realizing it. They think flirting starts with charm, jokes, or compliments, but it doesn't. It starts with presence. When you look at her, do you see her as a prize you need to win, or as a person whose energy you're reading, measuring, and calmly matching? Women can sense it instantly. A man seeking validation feels light, like his attention is floating toward her approval. But a man who is rooted, grounded in his own self-worth, feels heavy, magnetic, unshakable. And that's the first psychological switch that makes her start flirting, shifting from performer to observer. When she senses that you're not trying to get something from her, not trying to make her laugh, impress her, or prove you're worthy, her subconscious relaxes. Why? Because most men she meets are doing the opposite. They chase her emotional attention. They try too hard to be fun, but when you're calm, slow, and grounded, it interrupts her pattern. Suddenly, you become the emotional puzzle she can't read, and women flirt with mystery, not clarity. Here's something fascinating about female psychology most men miss. Women are biologically wired to test a man's emotional stability before they open up sexually or romantically. That's why they playfully tease, ask provocative questions, or act distant. They're subconsciously asking, can this man stay calm under pressure? Can he keep his composure when the game shifts? When you respond with neediness, over-explaining, or nervous laughter, you fail the test. But when you hold eye contact, smile slightly, and let silence do some of the talking, she feels it. Her body language changes. She leans in. She starts asking you questions. That's when the flirtation begins. Here's how you can trigger that in real life. When you're in a conversation with her, focus 70% of your attention on her energy, not her words. Watch how her body moves, the tone of her voice, and how her eyes react when you pause before answering. Most men rush to fill silence because they're afraid of awkward moments, but silence is where flirtation lives. It's where tension builds. If she says something playful, don't instantly respond. Look at her for half a second longer than normal, with a knowing half smile. That subtle pause makes her question what you're thinking, and that's the psychological spark. It tells her this man doesn't just react, he observes. Another trick most men overlook: mirror her rhythm, not her words. If she's speaking softly, lower your tone. If she's leaning in, you lean slightly, but never fully close the distance. Let her bridge that final inch. This micro-tension, this push-pull of energy, creates a subconscious signal of desire without saying a single word. And if you want to elevate it further, make small, calibrated statements that imply awareness. For example, if she plays with her hair while talking, say with calm confidence, "You have a habit of doing that when you're curious." Don't say it like a flirt. Say it like an observation. She'll smile, maybe deny it, but inside she'll feel seen. Because women are deeply drawn to men who notice patterns. The key isn't manipulation, it's emotional awareness. Women don't flirt because you tell them to. They flirt because you unlock that instinct in them. You give her emotional permission to be feminine, expressive, and playful around you, because you're not demanding it. That's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing female attention, it starts chasing you. And when you stand in that energy, calm, grounded, aware, her instincts will begin to mirror yours. She'll laugh more freely, hold longer eye contact, maybe touch your arm mid-sentence. That's not an accident. That's the moment she's unconsciously saying, I feel safe flirting with you. Because flirting isn't about games, it's about emotional polarity. And polarity only exists when you stay still long enough for her to feel your presence. So next time you're with a woman, stop asking, what should I say? And start asking, what energy am I radiating right now? The answer to that question determines everything that happens next. Most men have no idea how to hold a woman's attention once they've sparked it. They get that first smile, that flicker of interest, and then it fades. The energy drops. She stops replying. She says she's busy, or worse, she turns cold. And you're left wondering, what went wrong? You didn't say anything wrong. You didn't do anything crazy. But what disappeared was emotional gravity. Every moment of flirtation either builds tension or releases it. And the mistake most men make is releasing it too soon. They compliment too early, they confess too directly, they start validating her emotions instead of mirroring them. And here's the psychological secret most people never tell you. Women don't fall for words. They fall for how those words make them feel about themselves in your presence. When she's flirting, what she's really doing is testing resonance. She's feeling for emotional chemistry. It's not logical, it's biological. And the men who know how to create that chemistry don't chase, they anchor. They let moments linger. They allow micro-emotions to breathe, expand, and deepen. Think of it like music. A good song doesn't rush to the chorus. It builds slowly, layering emotion, timing, and silence. That's what you must do in conversation. When you're speaking to her, instead of instantly reacting, you create rhythm. You use pauses like punctuation, silence like suspense. You let her lean in, because every time she leans in, physically or emotionally, she's investing. And investment is what anchors attraction. Here's a truth that sounds simple, but changes everything. Women flirt harder with men who make them feel seen, but not owned. When you notice something subtle about her but don't try to claim it, she feels that freedom. It's intoxicating. For example, she might talk about her goals, her past, or something emotional. Most men jump in to relate or give advice, but if you just say, with calm understanding, I can tell that means a lot to you, and then let the silence breathe, her brain releases dopamine. She feels emotionally connected without effort. You've now become the man who gives her what most men can't, emotional space with attention. That combination is rare. It's powerful, and it makes her start flirting with more intention, because now every smile, every playful tease, every "your trouble" line she throws is her subconscious way of saying, I want to feel this energy again. Another powerful anchor, curiosity, but not fake curiosity, not the what's your favorite color kind. Real curiosity that reflects her state, not her story. If she tells you she loves traveling, don't ask where she's been. Say, you like escaping routines, don't you? Now you're not talking about travel, you're talking about her inner wiring. And when a man speaks to a woman's core identity, it bypasses logic and hits emotion. That's where flirting becomes magnetic. And this is where psychology truly takes over, the contrast principle. Women are drawn to men who can shift emotional states smoothly. Most men get stuck in one energy, either funny, serious, confident, or mysterious. But real attraction lives in contrast. If you can shift from light teasing to quiet depth, from confidence to warmth, from playfulness to pause, she feels emotionally safe in your presence because you're leading the emotional dance. For example, imagine this. She teases you about something, your haircut, your shirt, maybe your too calm vibe. Instead of defending or overreacting, smile slowly and say, You're trying to figure me out, huh? And then look at her, calmly. That line flips the frame. Now you're the observer again. She's caught off guard, intrigued, and the flirtation deepens. See, every woman has two layers of attraction, her surface desire and her subconscious pull. The surface reacts to words and charm. The subconscious reacts to uncertainty and safety at the same time. It's paradoxical, but that's what creates chemistry. When you become the man who's unpredictable but emotionally stable, her system lights up. She starts to chase micro-validation from you. You'll notice it, the subtle changes. She begins to ask more personal questions. Her tone softens. She brings up something slightly emotional to see how you'll respond. That's when you anchor it further. You respond with warmth, not intensity. You stay composed. You don't rush. You breathe. Because now you're leading her nervous system. You're setting the emotional pace. And here's where most men lose it. They think flirting is about escalation. It's not. It's about synchronization. You don't pull her into your rhythm. You make her want to step into it. When you control pace, tone, and attention, you create micro-contrast moments her brain reads as, "I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about him." That's how attraction becomes psychological, not situational. It doesn't rely on how you look, what you say, or what you have. It relies on what she feels when you're around. And the truth? Every woman, even the ones who seem cold or guarded, wants to feel emotionally awakened by a man who doesn't need to control her attention to feel powerful. That's what makes her start flirting naturally, because your presence feels like safety and excitement at once. If you remember nothing else, remember this: you don't create attraction by chasing emotion. You create it by holding space for it. Let her feel your steadiness, your quiet certainty. Let her wonder what you're thinking. Let her flirt first, and then match it, not mirror it. Because the man who can hold tension without forcing outcome becomes unforgettable. Every man has felt that haunting moment when things seemed to be going perfectly, the spark, the laughter, the teasing, and then suddenly it's gone. The messages slow down, the energy fades. She's still polite, but that emotional fire that once danced in her tone, it's vanished. And you sit there wondering, what changed? You didn't say the wrong thing. You didn't make a big mistake. What happened was simple. You stopped being a mystery. See, what truly makes a woman crave you, what makes her flirt even when you're not there, is when she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels curiosity, emotional curiosity, the sense that she hasn't fully figured you out. Most men make the mistake of giving everything away too soon, their intentions, their stories, their emotions, and in doing so, they remove the tension that made her lean in. But a man who understands psychology doesn't overshare. He reveals selectively. He creates space for wonder. This is where the art of emotional depth comes in. Because flirting, when done right, isn't about surface-level fun. It's about emotional layering. A woman flirts to test if she can feel something real behind your calm exterior. When she senses that you're playful but capable of depth, confident but vulnerable, that's when her heart engages. That's when the flirtation turns personal. And here's the paradox. The more you try to impress her, the less she feels you. But the more you express your truth without trying to convince her of it, the more she connects. For example, imagine she asks you, "So what kind of women do you like?" Most men panic. They either flatter her or give a safe answer. But if you calmly say, "I like women who know how to stay soft even when the world tries to make them hard," that sentence hits her emotions. It's honest, grounded, and slightly mysterious. You didn't describe her, you described a principle. And that kind of response makes her want to show you that she fits it. That's emotional leadership, the ability to express standards without demanding compliance. Women are drawn to that energy because it communicates confidence without ego. It says, "I know who I am and I know what moves me." And when you speak from that energy, you create a new kind of flirtation, one that feels spiritual, not just physical. Here's a deeper truth. When you create emotional depth, you awaken a woman's nurturing instinct. She starts to invest emotionally because you've made her feel something she can't explain. It's not just attraction, it's resonance. She starts to think about you when she's alone. She replays moments in her head. She reads into your pauses, your tone, your texts. That's not an accident. That's her mind trying to decode emotional layers she's not used to finding in men. Now, this doesn't mean you become distant or cold. It means you remain composed. You don't overtext, overchase, or overvalidate. You stay consistent but unpredictable. You show interest but not dependency. That fine balance keeps her engaged because she never feels total control over your attention, and that keeps the spark alive. Here's a trick you can use right now. Mirror her emotional rhythm, then lead it. If she's being playful, match her tone. If she suddenly gets serious, soften your energy and match that too. Then, when she least expects it, change tempo. Introduce a calm pause, a quiet question, something like, "Do you always hide behind humor when you're nervous?" Delivered with warmth, not judgment. She'll smile, deny it, but you'll feel the shift. That's a moment of intimacy disguised as banter. The reason this works is simple. You're breaking her pattern. You're showing her that you see her, not just her surface. And once a woman feels seen on that level, she can't go back to pretending. You've touched something real, and real connection creates craving. When you leave her presence after that, she won't just think about what you said. She'll think about how she felt around you, safe, seen, curious, slightly off balance in the best way. That's what keeps the flirtation alive when you're gone. She'll start the next conversation. She'll text you first. She'll find reasons to talk, reasons to see you again. Not because you chased, but because you left space for her to chase emotionally. And this is the greatest secret most men never learn. Women don't fall for men who impress them. They fall for men who awaken them, who make them feel feminine again, who remind them that connection isn't supposed to feel forced. It's supposed to feel alive. So if you truly want to make her start flirting with you instantly, don't try to get her attention. Command it by who you are. Speak with calm certainty. Listen like her words actually matter. Hold silence with confidence. Show emotion without losing composure. Be grounded but unpredictable. That's how you become magnetic. That's how you move from being noticed to being missed. Because real flirtation doesn't end when she walks away. It echoes, it lingers, it leaves her wondering, why do I feel drawn to him? And that right there is when you know she's hooked. Now I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever had a woman flirt with you only for it to fade and you couldn't figure out why? Tell me in the comments what you think happened. I read every one of them. And if this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it, because most men are just one mindset shift away from becoming unforgettable.